Mr. Kevin Staggers is the guest for today. He's a creative professional with over 20 years of experience in music production, content creation, photography, videography, and music video production. He has worked on notable projects including Voices of the South, Letters from Afghanistan, and Cre8 Talks Project. Mr. Kevin also founded Focus One Media in 2017, showcasing his expertise in photography and videography. He has created visuals for weddings, special events, corporate headshots, family portrait, and music videos. His love for music, food, and documentary filmmaking enriches his creative pursuits, and his education to craft has earned him a reputation as a visionary artist. He is currently the producer and co-host of the Hilltop Glove, a podcast about urban creatives and entrepreneurs in the Carolinas navigating adulthood. Recently, he completed a project teaching the youth content creation called Kid Glove. So everybody, please welcome Mr. Kevin Staggers to the stage. How are you doing today?
Doing fine, doing fine. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you well now.
Perfect.
I'm sorry, but we both was having some issues.
No problem.
So tell me a little bit about the Hilltop Glove podcast.
So Hilltop Glove is a podcast we started back in December of 2020. And the reason we started it was prior to COVID, we really took for granted the networking opportunities that we had, or just opportunities just to be able to link up and connect with like-minded people that we would see out in the community. Because a lot of times when we go to events or we'd be, just be out and about, either we'd be meeting people in passing or someone would be working at an event or we would be working. And so you just never had time to sit down because, either somebody would be having to grab you for something or, you'll be busy yourself. And so we realized, well, if everybody's home, this is the perfect time for us to really sit down and have some meaningful conversations with folks we've always wanted to talk to. And so starting December 20th, December 20th, 2020, my brother and I, we started doing interviews. And then towards the end of the first season, that's when our friends joined us. So my brother is DJ Aaronwood, but now my friends Tamaya and Mike joined us at the end. And we primarily talk to different entrepreneurs and creatives here in the Carolinas.
Awesome. So what projects are you currently working on?
Right now, working on a lot of stuff. Currently, like I said, we have a project we call Kid Gloves. We're actually teaching kids content creation, but also we're able to tie that into transferable skills. So things that have to do with like career development, work, employability. So like verbal communication, time management, teamwork, stuff like that. We just use the content creation with the podcasting to be able to teach those things. It's a lot easier to maybe sit them down in the classroom, giving them a book or having them do like mock interviews and stuff like that. They get to find the guests, they get to interview them, they get to prep the questions and they do all that. And it's neat because they're getting to learn all those things and they can see themselves afterwards once the episode is done. So we started doing that back in September, and we're actually going to be getting started back this week for the spring semester. But that's been really awesome. We work with, like I said, the Boys and Girls Club in the Midlands here in Columbia. We also did an event with South Carolina NAACP, and we're exploring some opportunities to work with some students with Department of Juvenile Justice.
Awesome. So you got a busy schedule.
Yeah, it's a lot. But it's, like I said, it's worthwhile.
So what would be one word to describe your success and failure?
Oh man, I'll probably say just persistence. That's the word for me. Persistence.
Awesome.
So I just keep working. Let's keep working at it. Because when you fail, it's just you just got to go back to the drawing board. A lot of times people have failed and they just pack it up and they go home and they never look at it. So
right.
For me, that's just it. Like that's been the reason I've been successful, at least in the areas I have been successful, just because of my persistence.
Well, that's with anything that you're doing. If you're not persistent with it, it's going to fail anyway.
Yeah. I think people get discouraged real often because, you see the problem is a lot of times, you see you're A, people see Z, but they don't realize you got to get to the rest of the alphabet to get there. And sometimes you might have a great idea, you may have great resources or opportunities around you, but when you get to that first level, like that first obstacle, how are you gonna get past that? And so that's something that I'm really huge on. It's just encouraging people, like, hey, you're gonna have some tough times, especially when it comes to doing this type of work. You're gonna have some good days, you're gonna have some bad, but you just got to figure a way to work around it.
Exactly. You're gonna have those good days and you're gonna have those bad days, but you gotta put a plan in place and you gotta keep it moving.
Yeah, and then honestly, you can't really worry about what other people are doing. Not in the sense not to where it'll cause you difficulty or make that struggle much more difficult. Because I think a lot of times when we're getting started in different initiatives, or whatever, especially when it comes to the creative side, we're so quick to want to compare ourselves to counterparts or colleagues, people that we know, or even people we don't know who are doing similar things, and we want to measure ourselves up to them, whereas we don't know their story and we don't know the work they might have taken to get to where they've got to either. So it's really, you just got to just realize that you got to run your own race.
Right, I agree completely. So how do you balance life wearing so many hats? So you're the co-host of the Hilltop Glove, you're producer, you're taking pictures, you're a videographer. How do you balance all of that?
Well, you can't do all that stuff at one time. So the thing is, you got to learn to put certain things down at certain times. So like right now, one of the things that happened, especially with 2020, was I really took a huge pivot from the photography side of things. So I still do photography, but it's few and far in between. And it's usually if someone reaches out to me directly, and it's just based on my availability. But as far as me actively like promoting photography, like, hey, I'll do portraits here, I'll do this, I haven't really done that in like over 3 years, because like I said, it's just one of those things, that balance, and you can't do everything for everybody. And I think that's something we always get in trouble with. You try to do everything for everybody. You can only be one place at one time.
You right about that.
So yeah, so it's several times, like, as much as I don't like to, there's several times I just on principle, just based off of that, I have to turn down gigs or I have to refer other people to stuff. And it might be, and the thing is, sometimes it might even be for things that I might be making money for the thing that they want me to do, but I already made an obligation to do this over here. So based off of principle, I got to go ahead and do what I originally promised to do, as opposed to taking opportunity. And so I'm very mindful of that as well. Just being a person of my word or character when it comes to those things.
Okay. So where can we find you online or stay updated with your latest endeavors?
Yeah, all you gotta do is you check out our website, hilltopglove.com. That's HILLTOPGLOVE.com. I also have a website where a lot of my portfolio work is at too, and that's at Focus One Media. And so that's just Focus, FOCUS, the number one spelled out ONE, and then media.com. And you can see some of the other awesome stuff we're working on too.
So what are you like actively working on right now? Are you doing? You're not doing the photography anymore. You're just focused on the podcast, or what are you actively doing now?
Yeah. So right now, I'm actually in the process of launching, opening up a creative space for rental here in Columbia, just for aspiring podcasters and content creators. Because, there are a lot of spaces here in the community people want to be able to have an opportunity to go and create. But the thing is, and it's never throwing shade at anybody, but a lot of the spaces aren't ran by someone who actively does podcasting and content creation for themselves. A lot of it is just, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, I think we can provide a great service and opportunity because we're doing it day to day. And then I can actually help somebody who's trying to get started, staying motivated to follow through and completing it. Because I think it's a lot of room and opportunity for people to do stuff in this community.
Wow, that's awesome. So it's set up with equipment and everything, or it's just the space?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, really?
So we set up the equipment, mics, all that. If you want the lighting, we set up the lighting. If anybody who comes in, the way we got it set up, and we're gonna have it rated, so at least if you come in and you do audio, it'll include the cost of editing your audio too. So you get all that done.
Wow. So I mean, what is the price for that piece?
So right now what we're doing is we're gonna be booking at 2 hour minimum. And so for 2 hour minimum, what that's gonna be is gonna be $80. So 2 hour minimum, because like I said, a lot of times people, because my thing is, I don't want to charge hour by hour, because a lot of times what people don't get is when it comes to doing things like content or like podcast episodes, you know this too. It's not very productive just doing like one little interview here, one interview that, right? Because if you do that one little and then you sit in on it, you're not going to be motivated to continue on, especially because it takes a while to build up fan base, build up viewership, people to watch it, people to stream it or download it. So my thing is like, hey, you come in here, just don't let me play around. Not like, hey, you got 2 hours, so you got to come in, you got to work. And the bonus with that is, hey, if you do record something, guess what? It's going to get mixed and mastered by somebody who does this all the time. And I do this for other people as well. So that's something you don't get in other places.
Wow. Ooh. Mixing and mastering, you don't get that nowhere. So I think that's gonna be a big success for you, because I mean, there's a lot of people that want to do podcasting but don't really know how to get into it or what steps to take. So that would be perfect. So are you gonna do like workshops and mentoring for?
Yeah, that's neat. As a matter of fact, we got a plan. We're gonna be doing at least every other month. We're gonna be doing a workshop. You were gonna probably do like on the first Friday in the evening, where we do a workshop like a mixer, where we bring people together who are interested, who are interested in podcasting too, or who have their own, so we can network, but also we can talk about those topics that are relevant, and people can see the space as well. And then another thing we'll be doing in June, actually June the 1st, we're partnering up with Richland Library here in Columbia, and we're going to be doing an all-day workshop. So from about 10 a.m. to about 3, we'll be doing a workshop from start to finish. So you'll learn like the difference between what's the difference between a podcast versus what's the difference between like like any other forms of content creation, YouTube essays, all you'll learn all of that. But then we'll teach you about the equipment. We'll teach you how to organize your schedule. We'll even teach you how you would reach out to guests. We'll even teach you about monetization. We'll teach you all those things.
Wow, that's something I'm probably definitely going to be interested in. What is the cost for that?
Oh, it's free. It's free. It's free. It's free.
That's awesome that you're helping people do that. That's awesome. You gotta advertise that.
Yeah, well, that's what we're about to do, and that's where that's where you get busy. It's only one of you, right? so yes, that's actually something we're going to be promoting in these next couple of days. As a matter of fact, we just got done getting the photos and everything ready for the space, so we're going to be promoting that starting this week, and then with the large workshop, we'll be promoting that starting in April. And then a lot of things too. We're still in the middle of we're still wrapping up our season too, our final, our 4th season. So we did some interviews last Saturday in Charleston that are really awesome. As a matter of fact, we're going to be dropping the interview tomorrow, which is really great. So for actually entrepreneur, her name is Belinda Miller, and she owns a bookstore down in Moncks Corner. It's the only Black-owned bookstore. I'm down there.
Wow.
South Carolina, but I know in the Charleston area it is. And so I know they're really trying to keep the place open, and keep the place open. I know they're doing a GoFundMe, and so our thing was we really want to get her episode out there while it's still relevant, so that she can build it up. So
right. So do you do a lot of traveling to do podcasting, or you stay local? You have a studio?
Yeah. So of course, the space that we're going to be right now, we work. That's our home base. So we work there, but right now we've traveled to at least 2 other cities. So we record down in Charleston, and we record in Charlotte as well. But we record other places too. But those are the primary ones.
Wow. So what advice would you give to other entrepreneurs that are trying to get something started?
Well, for one, I think you just got to have a plan. I think that's the thing. Like sometimes people be excited, but they don't want to write anything down. Sometimes you just got to sit, just write stuff down. We're so quick to want to feel like we're going to allow our charisma or whatever idea and our gift to carry us to the finish line. But you got to do the basics. You just got to just, like I said, sit and write. Like that. Once you write out your plan, how much is it going to cost? Like what's going to be your investment, right? Because a lot of us don't really blessed to be able to have like a fund to be able to pull from, or inheritance or other things. So you really just got to strategize and plan those things, and just realize too, you're going to take a lot of L's before you get a W.
Oh, do I know? You right about that. You got to work hard every day.
Yeah. So he's got to just have that mindset, and then he's got to be realistic with it. Like, even though I do all those things outside, I still work 9 to 5 though. So I
Me
still have a
too.
job, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think sometimes, especially in our community, we have this really big issue, especially now. And I understand where it comes from, but it's like sometimes someone having a job could could succeed as a detriment. And I think we got to realize that, hey, most of these folks that you see out here from these other communities that are doing stuff before they got started, they went to these other places and had to learn how to run a business before they did stuff on it. It just
Exactly.
doesn't just happen. And so you just got to just be mindful of it and just realize it's not like entrepreneurship's not for everybody. It
You're
should
right.
be. So, and I think, because I think sometimes, I'm going to be honest with you, sometimes I feel like some people do it because they just have really bad customer service and don't want to listen to nobody, right?
There you
They have
go.
poor social skills. They're like, well, I don't like doing this. I don't like listening to you, and do this. I'm gonna do my own thing. But you
Right.
never address the fact you got poor interpersonal skills. And so now you're trying to run a business. You got an attitude. You got all these problems that you took from the job where you couldn't get along with your manager. And now you can't get along with your clients because at the end of the day, we all have to answer to somebody.
You have to answer to somebody. I agree.
Because even if you got your own thing, you still got to answer to somebody for the work that you do.
You do.
Or
But I
service that
think
you
people
do.
think that it's easy when you get out there and you're starting to, you start a business. They think it's easy, but it's not. You have to have capital to move, you do things that you need to do. You have to have the proper equipment, anything that you need for that business. So nothing you do in life that's going to be successful is going to be easy anyway.
Exactly. And that's my thing. I just try to just help people realize that. Just like you gotta do what works best for you. Because everybody's situation is different. So you just can't compare yourself. And I know we get sucked in by this little box that we keep in our hands, right? And we see everything, right? But we just got to be mindful of that. Like we just can't get sucked in by that because we don't know the full story. And that's a lot of what we talk about on our podcast too, with a lot of our guests.
I've been tuning in.
Yeah, that's like one of our main themes. Is okay. Yeah, we see you online, but what is it like when you're at home? Like if you got kids, what is it like when you trying to manage kids? You got your wife tripping, or your husband tripping, or whatever, right? And then you got family stuff. Like how do you deal with all of that, but yet you still are able to present yourself a particular way and still go about your business? And that's
It's
really
hard. It's hard doing that because I work a regular 9 to 5 too. I'm doing my podcast. I'm writing. It's hard you have to have real good time management skills to balance a lot of things because every day you have to be talking to somebody. You know how this is with the podcast. You got to be talking to somebody every day trying to book somebody because you got another season that's going to come up and you got to fill it. So
exactly.
You got to talk to people every single day.
No, that's what it is, and I don't think a lot of people get that. It's like, as I always tell them, especially when we're doing workshops or classes, and they always ask, and the questions they ask, not that they're superficial questions, but they're questions that you can tell they haven't really are serious about making those steps on going into it long term. And so they're like, well, what kind of mic do I need? What kind of this do I need? What kind of that? I'm like, man, shoot, you got your laptop. You just sit right there and talk on your laptop, right? Or how do you do, and I'm like, you don't need all that because the more excuses you're going to find, the less likely you are going to actually complete it. It's just like somebody that wants to work knows they got to get in shape. They know they got to exercise, right? And they're like, hey, I'm going to start walking in the morning. I'm going to start walking every day. And early in the morning, then what happens? They hang out with their friends late at night. Man, I'm too tired to get up, right? Oh, man, my foot hurt me the other day. I pulled something, that's all these excuses. Man, I don't got my clothes washed, so I don't got no clean clothes to wear when I go walking, right? It's those little things that come prevent you from doing it. Like I remember our very first episode we did, we recorded. It was a friend of ours we talked to, and we're doing it remote, right? We're recording remote, and he did not have a laptop to talk on. It's like he didn't have a laptop at all. And we're like, how are we going to record this? And I remember I was like, man, if we don't record it, we're going to give up and we're just not going to follow up on this. And so what we did was I called him up on the phone and I put him on speakerphone, and I would hold the phone to the mic, like this little mic right here. And I would just hold the phone to it while he was talking, answering the questions. And that's how we did our very first episode.
Wow.
Because the thing is, if we wouldn't have done that with that first one, we wouldn't have been able to work through everything and process everything, and get around those barriers to where we can record 100. We're up like 108 episodes now.
But I mean, it starts off simple like that. Anyway, when I first started, I had one microphone. I had my computer. I didn't have the headphones. When I first started, I can tell the difference now. My daughter actually upgraded all my equipment. I have multiple microphones now where I can do interviews in person now. But as I went, I started learning more things, and I started looking at the quality of things too. So the biggest thing is to start.
Exactly.
You got to start.
Exactly.
Everything else, the details will come later.
That's it. That's all. Because then you got to realize too, and I always try to explain this to folks, like the folks that you see online that you like when you get started. Because there's always some, oh man, I want to do this because I want to be like them. You don't realize those people doing it for a long time, and then they got a whole team of people. So recently we did an interview with a guest who was she was a co-host on the Breakfast Club recently. We spoke with her Saturday, and one of the things that she was sharing with us was how the Breakfast Club is set up for co-hosts or guests when they get on the show. Now the random thing is, guess what? They actually do serve breakfast at the Breakfast Club.
I did not know that.
They do. So what happens is the assistants and everything, as you're coming in that morning, they take your order for breakfast. So whatever you want, they'll go get it. Because remember, they're right down there. They're right there in New York City, right? So, well, what do you want to eat? You go, I want this coffee from Starbucks. I want blah, blah, blah. Can you get this? And they'll go get it. I want pancakes, whatever, right? And so they'll get it for you. So after you get done with your show, you have your breakfast. So it is Breakfast Club, right? But the other thing she shared with us was the camera. When you get there, the cameras are already set up. There are, you already got your questions that you're prepping you, and you got a whole team of people, mostly women too, mostly women assistants that are just working, making sure you got all your stuff together. And so while you're on the show and they're recording it, you actually have, like I said, these women in the back, they're pulling out the content and they're editing it right there. These are the things people don't talk about, don't realize. We sit here and we get online and we're like, man, I do all this stuff. I would go do that. They got a team of people that do all that they got to pay to do those things.
Wow.
Yep.
So, I mean, they're losing money. I mean, I won't say they're losing money. It makes it easier for them.
It's not they're losing money, because you got to think about it. Their sponsorship and their budget is a whole lot different. Because remember, they're with, see what I'm saying? It's a whole different conversation. They can do that because of the type of platform they have, the viewership they have. Because remember, you got presidential candidates that come up there. Right.
That's true. That's true.
So presidential candidates, when it come up there, if there wasn't, regardless of whatever party affiliation, if there wasn't a large listening audience, and because you got that large listening audience, it's just like with radio, right? The more listeners that you would have, the more opportunity you got for sponsorships. That's true. You got for fun, right? Because it's like, man, they already got all these people listening to it. So whatever we got to pay to get in here and get involved, we're going to go ahead and do that.
Yeah, they can afford it. You're right.
They can afford it. That's how you can have all the assistants doing that. That's what people don't get.
But that takes a lot of time to build, though. Like, I mean, you would think it does.
Yeah, but they were doing it for years. So you got to think, and that's the thing we don't ever take into consideration a lot of times, right? Especially us, like Black people, like Black folks in our community. Like, so we'll look at other communities and we'll see different businesses and things they got going on. And be like, man, I want to go out here and I'm going to do this, or I want to go out here and do that and have my corporation like that. But I'm like, man, do you know how long these businesses been been around? Do you know how much resources and funding they have? So it's not going to be immediate. And you just think about it like this. Think about how many people that you know that are like a member, that are from our community, that are billionaires, that are multimillionaires, that have nothing to do with entertainment.
Nothing.
See what I'm saying? Something else we don't talk about either, right?
Right.
So,
but every startup is going to be different with everybody. Not going to, some people can go right to the top, and some people it takes a while. So it's going to be different for everybody, different strides. So you can't look at people and say, oh, I want to be just like him and the way he do things. Your path is going to be different.
Yeah, and that's it. And I don't think, and that's the thing, that's the main thing you gotta realize. Like, as much as I love our content, what we do, like I know that our path is very different. And I've accepted that. And so, like I said, we're still gonna work, we're still gonna be consistent. And so we're not going anywhere. We're just gonna continue to build, continue to work. Like I said, things that go well, we'll celebrate. Things that don't, won't celebrate. We'll look back. Okay, well, what can we do to improve this? What can we do to improve that? And that's all. Just be consistent. And then anybody that we work with, just try to treat them the way we want to be treated. Like that's a real huge thing with me. Is like I said, I just try to be respectful to everybody. Like I don't try to. If you're a star, I treat you like I said, I treat you like an everyday person. If you're an everyday person, I treat you like an everyday person. Try to treat everybody the same. Yeah, so same respect, same, like I said, same way, like the same way we prep for one interview, we're gonna prep for another. Same way you come in, like people sit down and talk, like, if you handle a situation, we do the same thing. And that's one of the things that I love to hear, especially after we record, after we met with folks, is them coming back and say, like, man, y'all were so professional. But the way you guys handled the interview, man, I've never been in a situation where people were that professional. And I'm like, man, that's a good thing. But I'm like, that's not a good thing either.
It's not. It is, but it's not.
Yeah. And so that's one of the things, man, we just try to, like I said, man, we just try to just be down to earth. And we just don't want people just coming with no facade. Just be yourself, because you can't be like that all the time. That's too much work.
Exactly. So I'm gonna give you 5 minutes of 30 seconds of fame. Give everybody a way to contact you, someone, so they can get in touch with you for any type of business purposes. If you're doing the podcast and you want guests, 30 seconds to get it out there, how to get in touch with you.
Oh yeah, so just reach out to us on Instagram at Hilltop Glove, and that's HILLTOPGLOVE. And if you can just DM us there, that connects everything else. You can also check out some of my work at Focus One Media, and that's at Focus One Media, and then that's on Instagram too.
All right, Mr. Kevin. Thank you so much. This has been a very, very interesting conversation today. I've learned a lot of things that I didn't know. I might be at your workshop as well coming soon. So we're definitely going to keep in touch so I can be there with you and support you on that journey. I'm in North Carolina, but I will travel to that workshop to support you.
Definitely let me know, because are you in the Fayetteville area?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would definitely travel to you and support you on that journey.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. So everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Breaking the Silence podcast. Stay tuned this weekend for our open mic at 7 p.m. on Saturday. Sunday night, we will have our debates. Next guest up will be this Sunday, Miss Bree Danielle. She's a hairstylist entrepreneur. So tune in for the next episode. Thank you so much. Until then, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Breaking the Silence, and we'll see you next time.